All right, let's get this thing started here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Deadman Live. Tonight we'll be talking about some interesting things. Really, the theme overall tonight is going to be about CPS, Child Protective Services. Of course, the one we talk about tonight pertains to mainly Texas. Okay, I'm not really too familiar how CPS operates in various states, but it can't be all that different, right? Because you have the state, local government trying to have this authoritative approach, try to intervene in people's lives. But then you have your constitutional rights that often get ignored or violated. Who am I? Like, how can you trust what I'm about to tell you tonight? All right. So, yeah, I do work for CPS. And everything I'm telling you tonight is what we're legally obligated to tell you anyway. At each and every case, we give out these pamphlets, CPS, what to do when CPS is in your life. Now, we don't read it to the family. If we did, it would actually be pretty helpful, I would imagine. So it's not like I'm not telling you anything that we're not already supposed to tell you, right? Right? Hell, the reason why we hand out this pamphlets is because what the department got sued before a while back, a long time ago, actually. So, yeah, I worked for CPS for about 4 to 5 years now, going actually to 5 years as an investigator. And during that time, I could say I had about maybe 3 or 4 removals. So you might see me as the enemy. I totally understand that. You might see me as someone who's a nice guy who has a tough job and has to make tough choices. I can see that too. You might see me as a tool who might be a nice guy, but could just be used at any time if a situation were to arise. If I was told to do something by a superior, I would have to. I get that too. I have bills I have to pay, right? But I also have to live with my decisions. And there's only a limit. There is a limit. Thankfully, I could say I have not had that problem. I have not had that issue to where I had to come across a decision that I would regret. No. If you want to know, and I'm sure you do, the 3 or 4 removals, and I say that because I don't remember there was one that immediately it was like overturned by the judge. But the way it was overturned was like, I kid you not, like backdoor politics. I thought the family was joking. I'll tell you a little bit. I had to redact some stuff. So that removal happened because you have a 16-year-old who was running out around town, getting involved with all these different guys, whatever. She's running around out in the street at night. Her legal guardians, her grandparents, were out of town. They were all out of town. All her family members are out of town. Because I got this case. I'm like, you guys are her legal guardian. Like, where is it? Where's everybody? Like, who's watching her? She's like just running around all over the place. And the police were asking for immediate assistance. They're asking for CPS to come pick her up or get family to come pick her up or whatever. The police were actually refusing to release her because on the account that she could just wander anywhere. Okay. All right. Someone's taking on the dad role a little too much, but that, I guess they do have a point. I guess. Could have released to a family friend or something. But they had nobody. So eventually, and I tried. I would try to avoid this one because if it was a stupid removal, I was like, all you have to do is find someone that the 16-year-old girl can just be with. Okay? But no. All right. Well, the guardians, not the parents, by the way, right? Because long story, but the grandparents were her legal guardian, and they told me over the phone, "Oh, be careful, she's a runner." They weren't kidding. She was a runner. She bolted out of my car. She bolted. I thought nothing. Did not heed their advice, heed their warning. Went to a corner store because She said she had to pee and she was going to try to pee in my car. I wasn't going to have that. So she goes in there. I thought she's headed towards the corner store, and then she bolts. Well, I'm not laying hands on a 16-year-old female in public. I'm not at all. What? So, yeah, I let her go. I just, follow the missing persons, blah, 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 all that stuff. But then when I called the guardians, they're like, we know the senator. I'm like, what do you mean? Ted Cruz? Apparently they weren't joking. Because that case, not only was the decision overturned and all that, about when the state gets temporary managing conservatorship, TMC, and that the whole thing was shut down and the case was closed, and then we were told to change our disposition entirely. Okay, imagine that. Imagine if all these other families I'm talking about tonight, well, no specific family, but imagine if everyone had that sort of benefit, that luxury of having a senator in their pocket. You may not have that. No one has that really, right? Except for a select few. But what you do have are your parental rights. And tonight I'm going to tell you about your parental rights that you may not know, or may not know what to do when CPS comes into your life. Now, when I talk about this, I also plan on going over CPS getting owned. One of my stories, really. A situation where I got owned. And some other horror stories as well. And how schools actually weaponize child protective services against parents when they just refuse to cooperate, which is horrible. Okay? A few more details about myself that I think might be relevant to this, to this live stream here. And for what it is, okay, I'm not going to get into politics here, but I don't like it when the government gets involved in people's lives in a very intrusive way. I don't like the idea of a state government or the federal government getting involved into that level, right? I don't think anyone would be comfortable with a complete stranger who's employed by the state talking to their kids about whether or not their daddy or mommy beats them, right? Right? Certainly, I think most people would have a problem with these strangers asking the kids about their private parts, or what they identify them as. Has anyone touched them? Things like that. Right? And I'm sure most people don't like the idea that when there's a case, half the time, or most of the time, CPS has already talked to the kids at the public school without the parents knowing. After all, if it's a legit case of abuse or neglect, you got to get to the kids first before the parents coach them on what to say. That's the logic right there, right? Okay. And while it's true, there are parents that would coach their kids and tell them to say things, right? And hide the abuse. It's a weird game to play, right? So you're just gonna, the state's just gonna go in there and talk to the kids. Okay, I'm already not so comfortable with that, but I get the reasoning for it. That's why when I do my job, I feel like I do my very best to be as delicate about the situation as possible. And also at times when I feel that the reporter, who I can't reveal, right, because due to confidentiality and shit like that, I have to, when the time comes, if it is necessary, if I feel like the case is frivolous after all was done, I may chew the reporter out. I might tell them, I definitely will let them know my thoughts and opinions about the matter, right? Now, I think if you have any questions definitely let me know. Okay, I'll be answering questions here. This is an important topic. I want to make sure you get everything. All right, so let's talk about what your rights are as a parent, right? Let's start there. Well, actually, let's back up a little bit. Like when there is a CPS case, I covered this on a very short video I did. When there is a CPS case, you will not know about it until after your kids have been spoken with. Most likely. Because most likely, if you have a case, it's going to be a traditional case where an investigator like myself or someone else is investigating for abuse or neglect. Okay. And they have a time crunch to make contact with the kids. If it's a P1, it's within 24 hours. P2, within 72. Okay. So they're already going to make contact at the school. And then they have 24 hours to notify you as the parent that your kid has been spoken to. Right? That's when you know. The only other exception would be if it's like a case during the summertime or an extended weekend, CPS will have to just show up at your door first. If the child is an infant and you're at a hospital, like if you gave birth to a baby, and the baby tested positive for certain controlled substances, CPS is going to be there. Okay. And in that situation, everything I'm going to tell you tonight, while you still have your rights, if you're in that situation where you tested positive for, like, let's say meth or cocaine, and it's in the baby's, urine or meconium and shit like that, then you made your bed, I can't help you there. And when I'm in that situation as the worker, I tell the family, like, look, man, these are your options. And right now, based on this, we would have grounds. Like, just on this alone, we would have grounds to order you to the court. Now, setting that aside, the basic cases, the ones that are very simple, the ones that are probably just a bunch of exaggerated stuff, maybe something, maybe some hyperbole, maybe a spite case, right? This is where this information really does apply and really can help you. So, the only other exception about how you're going to know whether or not you have a CPS case would be if it's an alternative response case where CPS calls you ahead of time. They call you to set up an appointment. That sounds weird, but they'll call you to set up an appointment to talk with the whole family all at once. If, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need CPS. And I do think that the program could use some help, definitely use some reforming. But if CPS does, what I gotta say, alternative response is a method I would prefer, even as a parent. Like, I would be livid if I found out that some stranger just spoke to my kids and interviewed them, right? I'd be livid about that. But alternative response method, got a phone call, okay, there's these concerns, you got to speak with the whole family together as a collective unit, okay. That's something I can handle. I can deal with that. Okay. So let's talk about your rights. So when CPS comes to your door to knock, right? You don't have to let them in. They're going to ask, can I come in? The reason why they ask if they can come in is because they don't have permission to come in, right? They can't just barge into your home. They can't do that. CPS doesn't even get warrants. They get like OTAs, OTPs, and it's going to take some work to get that. If you have a situation where, like I mentioned, where let's say you gave birth to a baby and it tested positive for controlled substances and all that stuff, you might be in a situation where later on down the road in that case, if you just so happen to go home or released from the hospital with the baby, where something like that could happen, and you'll know that when law enforcement's with them. However, like I said, setting aside the extreme case, your basic situation, if a CPS just knock on your door, maybe they already tried to call you to let you know that your child's been spoken to at school. If they missed a call, they might have already went by to your home. You might already have like a little business card on your door. That's definitely an indicator there as well. That CPS is coming. Okay, so when they knock, they ask to enter. You don't have to let them in. You can say no. And then they'll ask you a bunch of questions to try to get you maybe a little relaxed so they can enter your home. You don't have to do any of that. Just say no. You can just ask, what are the allegations? Okay. You could deny it. Close the door. Assuming that CPS has seen all your kids, and that there was nothing else to this case, like the allegation was very simple. Like there wasn't any outcry from the kids to support the allegation, then that's pretty much it. If there's no outcry from the kids, no disclosure from the kids, and you just flat out deny, that's it. There's more stuff we have to do, like policy-wise, that we would have to do. But how can we do that if we don't have permission to go in the home or talk to you even, right? And there's certain things that the court is not going to order because they don't really care about, like policy. A lot of people will see CPS and the courts being like hand in hand. It depends on what judge you have, right? I have judges told me and other workers they don't care about our policy, which is good. They go by the Texas Family Code. They don't go by CPS policy. So, Now, if for some reason, let's say during the interview with your kids, let's say it was an allegation relating to, let's say like neglectful supervision, let's say related to drug use. Let's say the allegation was like mom and dad smoke marijuana in the living room, whatever, and the kid's like 5. Okay. And let's say the 5-year-old did say something in the interview. And by the way, when I can't speak for all workers, but when I do my interviews, they're open-ended. Like leading questions, I don't like leading questions. Our own, at least, like I said, I could say the attorneys that we have in the county I work in, they don't like leading questions. Because they can be torn apart by the other attorneys, right? It's like, oh, you led them to that. Okay. So if I happen to ask, do you know what drugs are? And they go, marijuana, or what do drugs look like? And they're like, it's like green, kind of leafy, and they start describing things. All of a sudden, it's like, well, okay, they kind of have an idea what it is. Okay, do you ever see it at home? Oh, I might see this, that. They might describe things. It's like, okay. But now we're getting some information that we could use against you. Yeah, good point, Cool Tactic. I think you are wanting to help, but won't this help potential kid abusers? I understand that. The logic. Sorry to go on SJW. No. You're not going SJW. It's important. I understand that the people who abuse their kids will use these same rights that you have, right? but it doesn't mean you don't have these rights. I mean, you can make this a metaphor to other rights, even guns, if you want to go there. I mean, you have rights. It's the Fourth Amendment. You don't have to let the government in your home. You don't have to let the government do all that. In fact, related to that, there's a conversation I had with someone in the comment section regarding the Fourth Amendment. I think in the CPS video I did, I mentioned that CPS can go to your daycare. And that is a weird area because I've never once been said you can't. It's not even in the policy where it says you can't. There's nowhere in the policy, in our training or anything, that says don't go to a daycare, don't go to private schools. In fact, it says nothing about that. Nothing. Which is crazy because you would think the state would want to avoid being sued, at least the department, which would be the state, right? Now, the interesting thing about daycares here in Texas is they're all licensed. They have to be licensed by Child Care Licensing, which is a branch of the Department of Family Protective Services, DFPS, which is CPS. So that's just the licensing part. But it's kind of like the foot's already in the door. They already kind of have like it's a gray area. I've heard that some people had, apparently the person I'm talking about in the comment section said that, I don't know if this is true or not, but they had that situation where CPS went to his daycare and they took it to court and they sued the department and they won. Okay, great. Like, I'm good with that. If the Department of Child Protective Services violates your right and they're in the wrong and the judge can hold them accountable for that, good. That's the only way the department will be able to change and adjust and do things the right way. Otherwise, they just, keep on making mistakes. But yeah. Now, I will say, cool tactic, if for those that are, let's say, doing wrong, actually hurting their kids and abusing them, like maybe they're using, like, beating them or whatever, having meth Fridays with the kid, right? For them, I would hope that there'd be something more substance in the actual intake, in the actual report, that could be used to, like, if, let's say, the parents were non-cooperative, they're like, no, I'm not doing anything. We just shut the door in your face. If there's something more in the report that can help you, like maybe the reporter's law enforcement, maybe they saw something firsthand, like they could show you the video, the body cam video, or they could show you some other things. Okay, now you got some information. You could use that. Then go to the court and be like, okay, this parent's not being cooperative. There's these concerns. Okay, now you can do something about that. But a very simple case where it's very vague, an anonymous report, and assuming that there's no disclosure from the kid about any abuse or neglect, that's kind of it. It kind of ends there. That's pretty much it, guys. That's all you need to know. No. I mean, there's more to it than that. So I might be missing. Oh, drug tests. All right, drug tests. Kind of related to the same thing. I mean, let's say it's a marijuana case and there's a 5-year-old, right? And the 5-year-old's at school, and let's say he didn't disclose anything, and CPS is like, okay, do you mind taking a drug test for me? You say no. Okay, if you say no, if CPS has grounds, they'll try to go for an order. If they don't, then that's it. And the way that they would have grounds for that is if, not just in the report, like if the reporter is like anonymous, then that's it. If it's from law enforcement, then they might have something. But if the kid says he doesn't see that stuff, and there's no, the other thing, criminal history and prior CPS history. Okay, So let's say it's the drug case of marijuana. And you say, no, you're not taking the drug test. And you just so happen to have, within that same year, a charge for possession of marijuana or controlled substance. Okay. Well, the judge is probably going to be like, well, yeah, he's probably going to grant an OTB in order to participate for services. He's probably going to grant something like that. Right? And let's say, yeah, he probably will. It also depends on your judge. And here we're talking about a 5-year-old, right? Let's say it's a 5-year-old. And there's also, let's say, make it real interesting, a 2-year-old in the home. Well, I know marijuana is marijuana, and half the country is like trying to legalize it and everything. But we're talking about Texas, very conservative, well, except for Austin. I mean, Austin's pretty much want to be like California, which I don't understand, right? In Texas, it's still treated like, it's treated like a fucking drug. Okay? It is what it is. So if there's a 2-year-old in the home, and now we're talking about the same stuff, oh, yeah, now that judge is probably going to be more likely to grant some things. He might, in that situation, I would tell the parents, look, like, we're going to, if you don't cooperate, look, here's the thing, here's your options, there's these concerns. I'll let them know what the plans are, what CPS wants to do. Let's place the kids with a relative or someone while you work services, or what we, take a look at some things for safety. And if you say no, what will probably happen is we're going to staff for legal to see if we have grounds for orders, have grounds for a show cause. Could even be a removal. But for marijuana, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Marijuana's a... yeah. And see, getting your weed in the mail sounds pretty good. Cool tactic. And right now it's all good because we're talking about marijuana. Now, you crank up the dial and go to meth. Well, it's a whole different thing. If it's the same story, even in that same situation, the 5-year-old didn't disclose, but yet there was like a criminal history of possession. Yeah, the dad's going to get an order. The mom and dad are both going to be ordered to do services, probably. Let's say the kid did disclose, and depending on what the kid did disclose, like, oh yeah, my dad, I see this weird crystal stuff, I see this glass pipe. I'm like, oh, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Because I'm going to do my job, right? I'm going to ask questions. And if we get that information, it's like, okay, well, now, if you don't cooperate, like, we have evidence to get you to cooperate. In that situation, I try to tell the family, look, like, this could go really bad. Like, CPS can make some bad decisions and stuff, and then everything can go all crazy if you don't cooperate. All right. But let's do this. A cool tactic. I hear being in the foster system ain't much better. That is true. There's truth to that, especially in Texas. Texas is not known for having a good foster system. How's the stream doing, by the way? Oh, what is? Okay. Yeah. I think in 2004 there was a. It's so bad. It's listed in Wikipedia. 2004, a high number of poisons, death, and rapes and pregnancies of children under its care since 2004. Yeah. What I tend to do in these, and we're kind of getting to extreme situations, what I do there is I want to avoid a removal, not because of the paperwork, but the paperwork does suck, but because, like, me, morally, as a parent, and as I said before, I just have I have difficulty and trouble with the government just coming in, taking someone's kids and saying, okay, you're not a parent anymore. I want to give people a chance. I do. but depending on the situation, you know, I mean, we're talking about drugs, something you should be able to, with the right services and the right sort of support, be able to get out of. Now, if we're talking about some sick ass motherfucker, like some mom who's letting her boyfriend perp on her daughter or on her son or something, oh, that shit, I'm like, there's no. We're fine. We're finding someone else. We're fine. Maybe grandma can watch the kid. Maybe the kid has an aunt that can watch the kid, or maybe do something else, you know. But if it's so in these situations, what I try to do is actually what you're required to do is find family members that could be a support for what we call like a PCSP, Parental Child Safety Placement. Now, because the state's involved, everyone who is screened has to pass a background check. They have to pretty much have no criminal history, but they can't have anything that's gonna be a risk when it comes to kids. Let me get a drink. Maker's Mark. All right. So in those situations, I try to do that, but they have to screen. They have to screen for, and they have to screen well. Background check. They can't have anything drug related for, I think for like 4 years or maybe a little bit longer than that. Definitely no domestic violence, right? Because a lot of the decisions the state makes there is to avoid being sued and avoid, you know, the horror stories that haunt, especially Texas CPS. People go, the kids go into custody and they end up getting worse off or being worse off and even dying. They don't like that. They get sued for shit like that and it costs them money. And I'm glad they get sued for that because they should be smart about the whole fucking thing, right? I can tell you about a time where I got owned, though. Where these rights, I'm telling you here, where it was used on me in a way that, like, it embarrassed me. But I walked away. I was kind of mad. I was like, what the fuck? I never had that happen to me. Ever. But it was she. I'm not going to say any names. I'm not going to reveal any details about the case that could, be used to know what it is. Okay. So on the report, it was just that this kid, he's preteen age. More teenager, early teenager age. He showed some signs of self-harm, self-mutilation, and made a homicidal threat. Okay, so the school gave the mom resources or references to have the child seen at a psychiatric place. Now, I've problem. Actually, let me pause on this story real fast because there's something I need to show you, and it's important, and it pertains to this. There is an article someone sent me, Wes from Real Monsters. And this article talks about how school districts will weaponize child protective services against uncooperative parents. And this case just so happens to be that situation. You see, in this case, what happened was, well, I can't say who the reporter is, but I think anyone with a brainstem can figure this one out. Like I said, the intake read, and as I explained, the allegation to the mom is that the child had showed signs of self-mutilation at school or in class. That's already a given. Who else is going to report that, right? Gave some homicidal threats, and there was concerns that the mom is not going to follow up on the referral. It's not that the mom did not follow up on the referral, but that the mom may not follow up on the referral, which is, so what? You're calling the case just in case? What is this? What is this? Now, this case did not go through as a traditional case, like I said earlier. Traditional cases are those are your typical ones you probably hear about in the news, where an investigator investigates for abuse or neglect. This was an alternative response case where CPS reaches out to the family ahead of time, calls them up over the phone to tell them that there are these concerns, that there's an open case and that these concerns, and to set up a day and time to meet to talk about it with the child and parents present. Right? That sounds a lot better than CPS just rolling up on you. Now, I mean, there's some issues with that too. It's like, oh, what if they're coaching? What if it's a bigger issue? It's okay. Schools are like jails. Yeah, they are. They are. Totally. So, I think I think being an alternative response case, being that the parent had a heads up that CPS was coming, that we scheduled this day and time to meet, she had time to read up. I think she read some stuff on the internet. I think she got real smart about the situation. Because when I showed up to the house, she was sitting on a little bar stool outside the door. And there was a bar stool out there for me as well. I'm like, this is weird. This is very particular. Like, okay, I've never seen this arrangement. All right. Shake hands, greet. I'm going to just go take a seat right here, I guess. She even said, go have a seat. I was like, okay. All right. Immediately was the case number. Oh, that's not something I usually have on hand. I was like, what? What's the case number? And what's your supervisor? And what's your supervisor's phone number? I was like, oh man. I was like, oh, okay. Let me just dig that information up for you real fast. And I try to have like a smile about it, but at the same time I was like, oh man, she's okay. So something's going on here. She was like, okay, what's the allegation again? I tried to explain to her that like, this is an alternative response, because in an alternative response case, which I don't think I really explained thoroughly, is that it's not in those cases, as long as they stay alternative response, there's not a disposition at the end of it. It's not going to be, oh, there was abuse or neglect happening at the house. In fact, if anything, if it stays as alternative response, then there's no disposition. So in a way, I'm not actually investigating an abuse or claim of abuse or neglect. It's more just concerns and worries, which is a gray area, that's kind of fucked up, but interesting. It's like, what is that? How do you make sense of that? So I explained that to her. It's a bunch of, like, the way it sounds to you probably sounds like a bunch of word salad. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I saw that on her face. But she was like, okay, well, I have everything you need here in this folder. She handed me the folder. In the folder is everything I needed pertaining to the child's medical treatment, the child seeing a psychiatrist and all that, blah, 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 boo, boo, Okay. That answers that concern. I tried to ask her a few other questions, because you got to ask questions about the home life, stuff like that. Oh, I haven't even seen the kid. I don't even know if the kid's okay. I was like, can I see the child? I mean, I do have to lay eyes on the child. She's like, oh, okay. She texts someone and they bring him out. I see him. I'm like, okay. And she's like, you can't talk to him though. All right. I said this before in the video I did earlier. Like, you can't force a kid to talk. If the parent says you can't talk to my kid, you can't talk to their kid. Now, you could get a court order, like an OTA. But even if you get an OTA, the parent still doesn't have to let the kid talk to you or or let you ask questions. All that OTA usually covers is seeing the child or laying eyes on the child, you know. But have to, and like I mentioned before, that one time I got an OTA because I did not see the kids on this case at all. I did not see the kids. It was a summer case, and those concerns I forgot. I think drug use. And I went through the trouble of getting it granted by the judge, showed up with law enforcement. I'm like, now I have this OTA. I know you guys weren't you guys don't think I'm serious, but I got to talk to you guys. I got to see the kids. Even then, they're like, no. And what did law enforcement do? Oh, no, we ain't doing anything. I was like, then what's the fucking point? Oh, man. All right, well, done with that. I'm telling you, man. Parents have a lot more rights than they know. They do. And I think if they use that, it could actually help close some of these cases a lot faster. Really. Otherwise, there's a bunch of hoops we have to jump through, a bunch of policy stuff. Oh, did you do this? Did you ask that? Well, you can't ask questions if the parents aren't cooperative. But the case was talked about earlier with the mom using these, exercising her rights. It ended with that, pretty much. It ended with that. Because everything I asked her, she was like, I'm not answering that. Now, she was kind of weird about it. She'd be like, oh, I'm not answering that without an attorney present. I'm like, I mean, this is not a criminal thing. Like, but okay. Okay, I got you. You're not answering. Okay. All right. Well, I walked away. I was like a little pissed. I was like, man, the first time I got owned like that. Like she checked me. She put me in the corner and she checked what I could do. She checked my authority, you know? It worked. But I got everything I needed to close the case. And that's it, right? Was it intrusive in her life? At least not to the extent that it could have been, right? Didn't have to call up family members or references for a character reference. Oh, is so-and-so a good parent? You know, I guess that's what CPS does. Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, the child seemed okay. The child was seen by a therapist and a psychiatrist, definitely having his mental health issues being addressed. Okay. And I had a feeling this case was going to go in that direction anyway. Because like I said, it was called in because there was concerns that the parent wouldn't follow through. Not hasn't followed through, but wouldn't follow through on the referrals. Okay. Kind of like what we see here. Now, school districts weaponize child protective services against uncooperative parents. This happens quite a bit. I have it, if you withdraw a child from school, sometimes they will call a report because they're concerned. Now, on the report, they're going to say a bunch of stuff about like truancy, which in Texas, like that's not a CPS issue. Like, I'm like, okay, that's not a CPS matter. And I just tell them right there, right at the beginning, like, look, man, that's not a CPS matter. Like, just what's the next thing, right? Oh, well, they've been, there's been, well, they seem lethargic when they are here. They don't seem very happy. They have a lot of bad days. Okay, now we're talking. Kind of. What do you mean by that? All right, well, let's see what happens. I've had it where petty things. Man, there was this case I worked, called in. Well, I can't say who was called in by, but you can kind of figure it out here, huh? And it wasn't even the right family. Everything was messed up. The information was wrong. And that doesn't make any sense. Especially, the school. They would have access to their information and get it right. But apparently somehow they fucked it up. Okay. That was easy to shut down. Gay ops, maybe? Oh, there's a lot of gay ops. Oh, man. Like, you want to see gay opery. Divorced families in custody battles. Custody battles. That stuff is some high-level gay opery. And I hear it. Like, they'll say, oh, well, my attorney advised me to call CPS. Why? We're going to be this messy middleman that comes in here, and you guys are trying to go to court for who gets custody. I know what you want us to do. You want us to, come up with a validation of abuse. But half the times in those reports, it's like exaggerated or played up or made it look like one way or the other because, they're seeing through the lens of vengeance or of hate or whatever, spite. There's a lot of emotions going on there. And a lot of it's just different opinions on parenting. They'd be like, oh, well, my house is much bigger. I have better stuff. And, she sleeps around with all these dudes. She has nothing but like a chain of dudes that you just go to her house. I'm like, oh, okay. Do you know these dudes? No. Okay. That's the problem. I don't know these dudes. Well, how long have y'all been separated? For a year? Okay. Well, that's probably why you don't know these dudes. Like, you don't need to know these dudes, right? I mean, we're talking about boyfriend. Okay. It's silly stuff. Let's see. In this article, I don't even have to read it because I already know like this happens. Weaponizing Child Protective Services. An investigative report by Hutchinger Report and HuffPost released last month revealed that schools are increasingly using Child Protective Services as a weapon against parents. Yep. If your child is disruptive in school and he has like ADHD or something, or maybe he doesn't have ADHD and he's disruptive at school, they will get you to have him evaluated, him or her evaluated. And if you don't, they will call CPS and they'll say medical neglect. And then I'll say it's the parent's right whether or not they want to give them medication anyway. It just is what it is, right? And we're talking about ADHD. It's not life-threatening. It might be disruptive in class, but it's not life-threatening. Medical neglect means something totally different than an annoying kid in class. I have some teachers. I'm friends with some teachers, and they'll tell me that they have to call in these reports because, they're obligated. They're mandatory reporters. And I get that. They are. But they're mandatory reporters for, like, legit shit. Sometimes there's things that you don't need to report because, obviously, it's not really as it seems. Like, this case, for instance. This came in as a priority one, which is like you need to make contact like as soon as you can, like within 24 hours. Okay, this girl, she was in pre-K. She got an injury on her nose. I was like, oh God, this sounds crazy. This sounds intense. What happened? Did her mom punch her in the nose? The report was like the mom threw something at her and it hit her in the nose. Okay. Let's go take a look at this. I go to the house because pre-K, the child's already been released from school. And the school had these concerns, but went ahead and just released the child to the mom, which they wouldn't have authority to hold the child back anyway, so not really. But some schools kind of play around with that, which is another issue. But anyway, so go to the house and to see the living conditions aren't the best. It's a rundown trailer in the trailer park. Okay, can't change their home. It just is what it is. And poverty is not a reason to remove or anything like that. Okay, and there's some horror stories back in the day where it's like, oh, if they're poor, their CPS is gonna take the kids. If anything, I try to get them stuff. Like I try to make sure they have their Medicaid and food stamps and all the stuff they can get. They just live in a bad trailer. Okay. Anyway, I see the child, and what does she have in her nose? I kid you not. It looked like a popped pimple right here. Right here. It was a red mark right here. I could draw it right here with this red pen. It just looked like this. What was it? You can't even see that. You can't even see it. It doesn't even show. It's not working either. But I was like, okay, well, how did you get that? She's like, oh, my mom was mad at me because I wasn't cleaning her room. She was in my closet and like throwing stuff like this behind her, just whatever. And the backpack came out, and the strap of the backpack like hit her on the nose. Okay, that sounds. I could actually literally see that. That happens. So yeah, the mom threw the backpack, and the backpack hit her in the face, and it gave like a little mark right here. I'm like, well, that's not even. That doesn't even fall in line with the statute of physical abuse. That's not even. Oh man. So that was an easy one, but one that was called him, by a. Oh, that's the wrong screen. By a school. Yeah, look at that. That one wasn't for any bullying, I don't think, but I think it was because in the report it did talk about the child's living conditions. There were some concerns that the child is poor and dirty and things like that. That happens quite a bit. If the school feels sorry for you or pity, or they feel like you'd be better off in another home, they'll do that. Yeah, it does sound accidental. Even if it was on purpose, it'd be like, well, Mom, don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Don't do that. What's wrong with you? I mean, if it was on purpose, it would be a much bigger injury anyway. But that was a day I was like relieved. I was like, man, I'm glad it's not a serious one. Damn. Man. Let's see. What else do they have here? So bullying proactive parents. Oh, yeah, they'll do that. For parents who are unhappy with their child's school and decide to withdraw their child for homeschooling. Oh, yeah, that's the thing. They don't like that. They do not like that. Threats of child I can't even read now. Welfare services or investigations can sometimes turn into actions. Massachusetts, okay. I don't know how they do things in Massachusetts. See, in Texas, they don't have educational neglect. They don't have that here. Usually, the school will call in, if they want to make a power move or whatever. Like in the case I talked about earlier, where they think you're not going to follow through on their advice. Oh, that reminds me about another case that's school related. Because, and this report sounded wild. And the punk ass teenager just hasn't been at school for quite a bit of amount of time. And there's runaway girls in the neighborhood, and they go to his apartment. What do you think a teenage boy and teenage girls do? Of course. So in the report, it sounded fucking wild that the family is running some sort of sex ring or sex party thing in there. I'm like, wow. Based on what? Based on the teenage, I guess, runaways will sometimes hook up there with this some delinquent who is already on probation, right? He's already on probation for I think drug use or drug possession. He was caught with marijuana or something, and he was living with his mom. His dad was like in San Antonio or something. I was like, okay. So what's mom doing? Mom's at work all day, working at a convenience store. The teenager is just not going to school. Well, you can work on ways to try to force him to go to school, but I felt kind of bad for the mom because it's like, man, you're in a bad situation because your teenage boy is just not going to school. He doesn't give a fuck about going to school at all. Because he could just stay up in here and watching TV. And apparently, apparently he knows how to bring in some girls every now and then, which I was like, Mom, you can't be doing that here. You can't be just allowing that though. You gotta put your foot down. But the other thing is too, is like she can't lock him out of the house either, because that would also be neglectful. Okay. She has to go to work to pay the bills. What she could do? Put cameras all around the apartment, make sure no one else is at the apartment. She doesn't even have money for that, right? We're talking about like very low income housing, shit like that. Okay. I was like, well, they're not running some sort of sex ring over there, but you do have this delinquent kid, this teenage punk, who just does not give a fuck about much of anything. But he does like, he likes doing what he wants to do. All right. I pretty much advised the mom, look, how does he act when he's with his dad? He doesn't act this way. Okay. Maybe let him spend time with his dad. That will straighten him out. His dad lives in San Antonio, whatever. Spend some time with him, straighten him out. If you can do that, I don't know. Because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Other horror stories. What do we got here? I think we have some other horror stories. We got, CPS worker quits after accusing supervisor of lying in effort to remove 1-year-old boy. I'll do the same thing if it happened to me. Your affidavit is very important when you go to court. What you put in there, you're saying that's what you saw. It better be truthful. It better be honest. Otherwise, you're gonna get fucked. And the problem is, when you're done with your affidavit, you'll send it to your supervisor, so they will proof it. And that's all they're supposed to do is proof it. It is under oath. You're right. Now, read it after you get it back from your supervisor. If you have a supervisor that you could trust, I understand. Just make sure anyway. I have one that I trust. She's getting ready for retirement. The last thing she wants to do is get fucked over too. Anyway. So, yeah, just make sure it's what you put in there. So reads, a child protective services worker has abruptly quit his job after accusing his supervisor of improperly taking his first-person account of family visits and signing his name to it as if it were his own and an official court document. Both the caseworker and several attorneys who reviewed the case on behalf of the Houston Chronicle said the supervisor's actions could amount to perjury. Man, it's so dumb. Like, why would you do that? You're gonna get caught. And if I want to play devil's advocate here, the supervisor probably thought, I don't know anything about this case. And it's probably restricted where I would not know anything about this case. Because I don't work at it. My hands aren't on it. But I would imagine maybe the supervisor really thought the 1-year-old needed to be removed out of the home. They just didn't have grounds for it. So they just put something in there. Well, that's bullshit. That's once again, power corrupts. Why would you do that? Power does corrupt. Hey, Chris Kaufman, man. It's been a while since I've seen you. I hope it wasn't the back-to-back Dead Man Stone podcast stuff. I like that. I like that podcast. It's kind of the main show. I see it anyway. But talk about writing and horror, and it's kind of restricted to that for the most part. So, it was October. Every day was Halloween, pretty much. Let's see. The caseworker. Oh, you didn't say his name. Paul Lozelle. A dude. That's rare. Made an allegation to several top officials at the Department of Family Protective Services in a blistering resignation letter obtained by the Chronicle. Yeah. In his letter, Lozelle accused the supervisor of presenting his words as his own, signing them before a notary, and entering the document into the court as an affidavit in order to justify the removal of a 1-year-old boy from his family? Okay, that's worded weird. That doesn't make any sense. He might mean from his family, like the family he was working with, not from his own personal family. Because the way when you're in the department, when you work, like you want, the way we talk about the cases, usually my mom, my dad, my family, it means the mom on this case, the dad I'm working with on this case, that's what he means there. Because otherwise it makes it sound like the supervisor wrote something in an affidavit for the worker's personal 1-year-old boy to be taken from his own personal family, which makes no fucking sense. That'd be crazy. Oh man. Maybe. No way. Maybe Lozelle, who was on leave when the affidavit was submitted. Okay. Hold on. If Lozelle was on leave, wait, no, he wouldn't be. Okay. The only way it would be his own personal family would be if he was on like desk duty. Because if you're a CPS worker and you have a CPS case on you, it wouldn't even be your supervisor doing it. It would be another supervisor from like another county or something doing it. So he was on leave. He was on vacation or something, or maybe sick leave or something. And the supervisor wanted to finish an affidavit to do a removal and just put something in there. Okay. Look at that. No, I had a foot infection. Had to go. Oh. Yeah, there would be a conflict of interest. There's at least that. See, there's some things I could tell you where the department is smart enough to know, hey, maybe we should do it in a different way. Otherwise, it'd be a conflict of interest. Like, if you have a case involving your family, it's going to be another supervisor in like another county working it. It can't be another supervisor within your same county because they all go to lunch together, right? False affidavits, man. I can tell you about that too. Man, I had to do some cleanup on the case. There was someone, I'll say names, but he flat out fucking lied. He flat out fucking lied in his casework. He lied on a drug test. What I mean there is that the drug test results came back positive for methamphetamines. But what he documented in his case was that it was negative. Well, that's bullshit. You don't think that's not going to be checked? It was checked. And he was put in a corner. He was let go. And they looked at me to clean it up. I was like, I handled worse situations. Okay, I could do it. Man, I just rolled up to that family. Because that family, the case had already been submitted for closure. And it was closed, but it was like the error was caught a little too late. So they had to reopen it. Because, they got that letter, I think, yeah, they received that letter that was closed. I just rolled up onto that family. They weren't expecting anything. I just so happened to catch them outside. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. Half the times you roll up and I forgot what time of the day it was. The kids were at school. I had already seen the kids. And the mom and dad, the dad was dicking around with something with a truck or something. And, okay. So I roll up. I'm in my car, windows down. He kind of comes up to me and I'm like, hey, I'm so-and-so with CPS. We need to talk. We need to talk about your case. We need to talk about the drug test results and shit like that. It came back like this. We need to talk about that. And that's how it was handled pretty much. The guy had a story. He was like, no, man, I don't use any meth. I just drink a bunch of energy drinks. Okay. Sure. All right, man. To send that family over and over again for additional tests, they always would come back positive for methamphetamine. And they didn't take any like ADHD medication or anything else. It was like, they were fucking using. They were fucking using. And they'd be so goofy about the, it got to the point where the judge had to order them, the dad, because he wouldn't stop coming back positive. They order him out of the home. Okay. He's out of the home. I go up to the house. He's literally out of the home. Just living in a tent. That's made outside the home. Okay. Look at that. He is literal. He's autistic or something. I don't know, man. He's just... It's like, it was funny. It was just a funny situation. But it was handled. That's a family in their situation. They could exercise their rights to the fullest degree. And they would still get a case. And they would still get court orders. And they would still get CPS involvement. And that's why I don't have any problem telling people about their rights. I'm obligated to do so anyway. Every time I work with a family. Because if you know your rights and you exercise them, and it is a bullshit case, it's probably just going to stop right there. But if people know about your dirty laundry, and let's say you have some really bad, stinky, dirty laundry, then that stuff is probably in the report. I don't know. Technicalities. Yeah. I mean, that family... I had interviewed them I think I went to their house 3 or 4 times. So I got pretty comfortable with them, right? I mean, their pets were familiar with me. I was like, okay, well. Okay. I think any other CPS stories? I think we might be done with this. Let's see. What's this story? Oh, well, if the article will fucking load. This one. This one's a doozy. Texas judge orders rare $127,000 sanction against CPS after wrongful removal of children. Now, this one's tough. This one's tough. Okay. Let's read it. The trouble that eventually landed the Bright family in court started back in July. It was a hot Texas summer day, and Melissa Bright let her kids, 2-year-old Charlotte and 5-month-old Mason, play in a sprinkler outside their Tomball home. Okay, sounds great. when she put the baby down on a lawn chair so she could help Charlotte strip off wet clothes, she heard a thud. Okay. Now, my question here is, wait. So the mom put the 5-month-old on a lawn chair, and the 5-month-old was wet, and like that. I mean, that just seems like the 5-year-old's gonna slip. Like the 5-year-old's gonna fall or roll out. Maybe, there's a chance that the 5-year-old's gonna be rolling out very, very soon. And that's what happened, right? Mason fell the 19 inches from the chair to the cement driveway below. This was an accident. It was an accident. It wasn't like the mom intended for this to happen. Accidents do happen. There's all sorts of things that parents do. Maybe your parents, maybe you are a parent, and maybe you've made some mistakes. Anyway, the tumble launched a months-long legal case with Texas Child Protective Services that began with the removal of the children from Bride's home and ended Thursday with a Harris County judge ordering what may be the largest ever sanctions against the agency. And that is a pretty large sanction. Let's see. I wonder what they say here. Oh, yeah, and this case is marked sensitive. You cannot read. I'm not even supposed to. I can't read, other cases, shit like that. Now, attorneys for parents Melissa and Dylan Bright are called for the firing of the CPS workers involved and asked for prosecutors to investigate possible criminal charges. They claim that they lied in the affidavit. Okay. And I don't know if they did. I don't know if they didn't. I can't say that for sure. It sounded like the judge saw this as an accident and stopped the removal. But hold on here. I do have some trouble with this because it sounds like, on this reporting, that the removal was granted, that the emergency order was granted. So, yeah, cool tactic. I'm with you. This was shitty. It sounds shitty, but it is an accident. But it sounds like the removal was granted, like an emergency order, but then it was reversed. Okay, well, the situation was enough to grant it then. So what happened afterwards? Makes me wonder. Like I said, I have not read this case. I technically can't, policy reasons and shit. But it sounds like they did not get what CPS tries to do. What we do is, especially here with Harris County and in Texas, doctors play a key role when it comes to injuries. If the doctor says it sounds like or is consistent with abuse, it's parents are going to go against that. They're going to go against the word of a doctor. They have a whole team. What they call themselves? It's been a while since I've worked with them. They call them like the care team or something. It's a collection of doctors that investigate for abuse. Anyway, if you don't get that, it's just gonna be overturned because and that makes sense. If the doctor says, look, this looks like an accident, then that's it. It's an accident. Oh, look at these ads. God. I try to use Archive IS or whatever for that, but it didn't work. I don't know why. Anyway, what does Chris say? Sounds like kind of overstepping that might lead CPS being dismantled one day. That case was actually probably called in by the hospital. Because if they see an injury like that, they're probably going to call it in. If it sounds like it could have been abuse. I mean, if we're talking about that sort of injury, a baby falling and hitting his head on cement, yeah. There's going to be a skull fracture, probably. And that would lead to a case being called in. And then the next steps, you're pretty much praying. You're praying that the doctor does not back up what CPS is saying or gives him ammo, especially if it is an accident. And I get it, it's an accident, and some accidents can become, it could be fatal, right? But it's totally different from than a parent who's like battering their kid in the face. Now, this mom should make some better decisions. Maybe not. Definitely don't put the lawn chair over cement and put the baby in it. Not the 5-month-old. But, what am I going to do now? Oh, well, I guess I'll play some Castlevania. I mean, play some Castlevania and then, kind of bullshit. I guess I'll do that for a little bit. Alright, turn off the music. Look, I have it right here. It's like I had this planned. I plan things? I don't plan anything. I don't plan anything. Jack of crap over here. No. Actually, for what it's worth, all those episodes during October Blitz, there was a lot of planning involved in a lot of that. This is Castlevania 3. The original. The prequel to the original. Yeah. Man, this game's great. I can play this anytime. So what do you guys think about, I guess, CPS involvement in people's lives, government being involved and all that? Oh, I mean, I just snorted. I just pulled a DSP. Notice that. Oh my god, guys. The balancing act for sure. It is. There's people in it for the wrong reasons, and there's people in it that they try to do the right thing. Now, the same people who try to do the right thing, they could be at times, I guess, the right moment for it to present itself, be used as a tool or be used in, like maybe a supervisor thinks this or that. But you could disagree. You could disagree, Now, they might get another worker to do it. It doesn't mean you're going to get fired either if you disagree. It's actually kind of hard to get fired. It's a whole process because it's a state job. However, it is very easy to be terminated for some bullshit. if you do bullshit, turnover's high because it's a high stress job, and you never feel appreciated because it's a bunch of crap. A bunch of bullshit cases get called in, and they kind of just come in, and we got to treat every single one as if they are like the most important thing in the world, because you never know. It could sound like a joke, and then you get there, and all of a sudden it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've never had that happen, but I guess it could. Let me get this little guy. Get some wall meat over here. Oh, yeah. Seasoned with cement and this is like limestone, sandstone. What is this? Wow. You just have to keep the one big cops out of it. Oh yeah. You shouldn't. Yeah, the people who go into the agency thinking like it's some sort of power trip, and there's people who do that. They see the badge like it's like some sort of like authority symbol. I don't see it as that. In fact, if anything, I try to be low key about the whole thing. Like my badge is usually like discreet. No, like you could see it. It's like usually in my belt, you know, like that. But simple things. I try to be, because you know I'm a parent, and I have certain views about, I guess, you know, the government being involved in people's lives and what extent it should be. It's like, okay, well, so yeah, I get hung up on that stuff. So other Mr. Deadman live streams where I'm just talking about this, that, and the other. I was going to talk about Finders today. You know, I was watching Mr. Mediker's Finders thing, but he read that document so well. I was like, man, that topic, what am I going to do? Riding his coattails on that one? Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll talk about CPS. I don't want the holy water. What? I did not know that these things were called ghosts. I worked for the Canadian Forces for 10 years before quitting. I kind of have mixed feelings about the government. Yep. Yeah, I think you get it. I think you understand. There is a necessity to govern people because people do need sometimes to be governed. Obviously, some people want to be governed. Like there's all sorts of families that have no problem. They're like, oh, I have no secrets to hide. It's like, okay, all right, well, that's good. And we talk, and it's usually done. Oh, I hate these owls. They're the worst. I think birds in like any game. Oh, fuck. Damn it, piece of shit. I look at it this way. I try to treat every case I work as if it's going to go to court, and as if I would have to like explain what's going on to the judge. And if you know the judge in the county, then you kind of have an idea of how they're going to be. And the judge in my county, he doesn't hate CPS, but he sees it at, honestly, he puts us in check quite a bit. He does not. He'll tell you flat out, I don't care about your policy. I don't care about your policy. I just want you to show me where the abuse and neglect is at. Oh, little dude. No! Oh, fucking bastard. That little motherfucker got me. You jackass. Man, I'm gonna punch that thing in the face. Alright. Alright, red dude. Oh, damn it. Oh, fucker. I'm trying to... I was trying to turn around and hit him. This is not good. I did the same fucking thing. Oh, okay, I need this. I always found it weird how battered women defend their abuser. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the battered wife syndrome, that shit happens quite a bit. Oh, man. These little fuckers. Yeah, domestic violence cases are pretty tough. Because, you know, sometimes the kids won't say anything. Something probably did happen, but they'll be like, my parents don't fight. Because if domestic, let's just say hypothetically, domestic violence actually occurred. Okay, what tends to happen afterwards is, and it's like clockwork usually, is one parent, the aggressor, if they're still there, which they probably are, might feel a little bad about it, and they might buy the kids, they might even threaten the kids not to talk about anything, or they might try to pretend like nothing happened, and like might even take the kids out for ice cream. Oh, nothing happened. Oh, come on, man. The spread of that shit is totally fucking ridiculous. You gotta be kidding me. So the kids might not say anything. It's like, okay. And then, I mean, if there are police call-outs to the area, that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on there. It's like, okay, well, you guys say there's no fighting over here, but apparently the cops been coming out here. What's that about, man? It's like they're worried about what's going to happen. It's like, look, I don't want to take your kids away from you, but I do want to help you guys in the situation. Like, if you are having these problems, what can y'all do to stop having these problems? Right? It's gonna involve someone leaving the home, and it's gonna involve some therapy if they still want to be together. But then sometimes the wife or the mom, or could be the dad, just doesn't want to leave. Oh, you jackass. They do that on purpose. That hole's there for a reason. Come on. Cheap ass deaths, man. Super cheap deaths. Same. And buys roses and kids pizza. Yeah, that's exactly that. Exactly that. Like, and you know, and the dad or the mom, who whatever happens, they might leave for a little bit, but then they'll just come back. There's this one case where I worked recently, and it's like, why is he even here? The dad's like a total beta male who is unemployed, doesn't do anything. He just sits on the couch while the wife is at work. I'm like, why is he here? Why you just let him be here? I don't understand. Kick him out. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, I gotta hit his face. Oh, I can just do this. This is cheap. Get over here, man. Yeah, I actually thought of Ron Soya when I saw him. It's kind of weird how like the internet memes and shit kind of play into what I see. I'm just like, well, you know, that's an interesting mental reference, but no one else would get that but me for a reason. Yeah. And he's only like, the dude was like only a father of one of the kids. And she even said like, and it really didn't make any sense for him to be back in, because usually in domestic violence situations, if it's the wife that's being battered, like she's away from her family. Like there's a separation between her and her family, so she doesn't have any support. Well, in her situation, she actually had a lot of support. Well, not a lot, but her mom. Her mom was like one house down the road. Like, so it was like, okay, literally, your own mom is within like walking distance, and she even came over that night and was going to call the police and all this stuff. So why is he back here again? And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to kick him out. Like, he only moved back in. I kind of allowed it to happen because he needed help for someone to watch the kid. And it's like, okay, or watch, D kids while she's at work. I was like, I understand, daycare is expensive, but you could find another way. Why not get with your mom? See if she wants to watch the kids. I think your mom would rather her watch the kids than that guy. So that's what happened. Ah, get the clock. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about Cool Tactic. Was he like a total meathead or something? Or he was just like, was he also drunk? Like an alcoholic, or was he just pissed off? Oh, you fucking bastard, man. This game. I like it. But man, it has some cheap ass fucking deaths. Oh, so yeah, if y'all saw the what is it, Mr. Medical was talking about the finders. There's something I want to tell you guys. If we can't locate a family, there's a department that we use to help find people, locate them, and we call them the finders. Oh, actually, just called finder. But there's no connection. There's no I don't think that'd be some crazy weird conspiracy connection. It's literally just a bunch of, I think it's just one. What's at headquarters? It's like in Austin, and they just do background checks, very thorough background checks using like clear and accurate searches. Oh fucking goddamn! I did the same fucking thing. I need to just jump over that motherfucker. God damn it! Son of a fucking asshole. Ugh. What a... Because you do have to go this way no matter what. I'm not even gonna make it. I hate these stairs. Hate these stairs. Hate these cheap enemies. Oh wait, I can just throw my axe. Just throw my axe. There we go. Oh, is Nick Ricator doing a stream now? I don't know if he is. Man, that dude's been blown up. During October Blitz, I was like, oh man, I'm covering a bunch of like horror and writing and stuff. And And the Vic Mignogna. Oh, god damn it. Fucking shit. But I kind of... I mean, I'm kind of late to cover any of that stuff now. So I was like, okay, well, I'm good. Oh, fuck. Can you imagine trying to do this as like with a no whip challenge? It'd be horrible. I don't even know how you get past these red guys. Oh, the IBS crowd? Yeah, IBS crowd entirely pretty much tuned out. I still listen to Nick Ricada. Well, every now and then I catch his stuff. I mean, as a I think as a dad, I kind of like some of his stuff. Like his dad jokes are kind of funny. I get it. Though it'd be kind of interesting that if he would cover other cases. That'd be good. I like that. But then sometimes it's like, well, he's just reading literally the whole court document, and it's just so like an audiobook. I have no idea what's going on with like the kill stream and that shit. I have not followed that since the since his implode. Worski, I have no idea what happened to him. I think he's gone now, huh? Oh, you fucker. God damn it. Okay, these things look like logs of shit, right? Oh yeah, they're still trying to... Well, they're trying to appeal it. Which... it could happen. I know with my experience in court, like the same judge, the judge you know normally feels like this, that, and the other. Like this one judge in particular, he's going kind of soft on weed, though every now and then, if it's like a bad day, I don't know. I really couldn't tell you, but sometimes it might be like he's going back in the 90s. Weed is horrible. Oh, what? I was ducking. You can't duck under that shit. There you go. Dead. I've seen cognitive thought. Oh, what would probably be helpful, though, if Ty Beard didn't, like, make everything all public and like what his plans were and stuff, and yeah, it's just the Lemoyne jokes are funny. And it's funny how attorneys will be about that shit, you know, making fun of each other, but yet crying, oh my god, he's making fun of me. I mean, you guys are lawyers. You guys are like literally soulless, pretty much, you know? You guys have an oath to defend even the, you know, assholes. And y'all do it for money. But because everyone has, you know, you have a right to counsel. Okay. All right. All right. Am I gonna make this jump? Probably not. Oh. Oh. I have not played as the chick. With Ty Beard laying his plan publicly for his enemies like a water-headed monk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For someone who's all about battle plan and strategy. Yeah. Good going there, man. I thought that bird was gone. I thought it was like out of sight, out of mind. Oh, fuck. Oh, at least the bird dies when... Oh, no! My god damn it, fucker. My god damn it, fucker. That's what happened there. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. My goddamn fucker. I'm giving the judge a 1,200 page document. Yeah, he's not reading that. Oh yeah, that's what another court experience I could tell you about. They don't like long pages. Like, there's long pages. They don't want fucking essays. And there's no reason for a CPS affidavit for a removal, especially on like the first investigation, to be more than like 4 pages. Just get to the point. Get to the fact. What the fuck happened? They don't need to know like all the fucking bullshit and stuff they said about in the beginning. Oh, the favorite pizza's this, that, and the other. Just what happened, man? Like, we received the case this day, or the report this day. This happened to do, you know. Just get to it. They like that. Make it simple. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. No one wants to work. No one really wants to work. So you got to make it easy for them. Yeah. But I enjoy this, guys. I remember your GN training for this game. Oh, for Castlevania? AVGN training. What was I? I think, I don't know. Well, I guess I'm missing the reference. Remember your AVGN training for this game. I watch a lot of AVGN. Of course. Of course. Yep, keep it simple. Who, what, and why, basically. Yep. All right, guys. Well, this has been cool. Hope y'all learned something. Try to grow this channel now with other content. The Dead Man's Tone podcast is what it is. But now I can talk about things people want me to talk about, I guess. So let's have some fun. You have a good one.